Well, hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Ethan, your host, and this is TableTalks. Today we have two really cool guests that I'm really excited to have on the show. I can't wait for you to meet them. They oversee the youth department, Andrew and April, and they've got some really, really special things coming. Make sure to stay connected on Instagram. Check out what we're doing. We've got some really cool stuff. Andrew, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be on the show here.
Good. Hey, glad to have you. Glad to have you, man. Yeah. April, how you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Hey, no worries. Hey, I've just got a couple of quick questions that I'm just excited to sit down with you guys. We sit down often and just have conversations about ministry and life, and where we're going. Yeah. I'm really excited to just unpack the two of you, your guys' relationship. Mm-hmm. How you guys do ministry, what you're excited about in the future. And I couldn't think of a better way to do that other than having you on Table Talks. So I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Hey, Andrew, let's start with you. I ask every guest this question, but how did you get into ministry? When did you start to think, oh man, this might be a thing that I'd really like to do?
Yeah. So I grew up as a Christian all my life. Into church. I never really had a true relationship with Jesus, I believe. There's a difference of knowing Jesus because, there's, it says in scripture, there's demons and other things that know Jesus. Atheists know Jesus. But have you met Jesus?
Right.
That's the difference of knowing Jesus and meeting Jesus. And so I knew Jesus, but I never met Jesus. And I met Jesus actually at a summer camp over at Silver Lake. And man, God really transformed my life. He called me into ministry when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And just had that moment with him and never looked back. And so
cool, man. Hey, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
April, let's pan to you here. When did you first start getting involved in ministry? When did you have that moment of, oh, I'd really like to do this?
Yeah, so similar to Andrew, I grew up in Texas. So I tell people I was like in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, which means we went to church all the time. Yeah. And I loved it. It was like the best community ever. But similarly, I didn't really have a full-on relationship with the Lord. It was an exciting place to be. My friends were there. I had awesome parents that had really led that path of what it meant to follow Jesus. But personally, intimately, hadn't discovered that. And there was a lot of questions that I was asking myself as a young female of, who am I? And really trying to find that in the church. And I would hear these powerful truths of how I was made in his image. But when I walked out of that room, that wasn't necessarily the messages being echoed back to me. Yep. So I wanted to believe, I wanted to have this relationship. I saw other people modeling it so well. But for me, there was so many obstacles in the way of, I don't like the way I look. People don't like the way I look. And so I just had this anger. So it wasn't until a church summer camp, I wasn't expecting to meet the Lord. I kind of had just felt like I've made all these wrong choices because of me not knowing whom I belong to. I was falling for every temptation and imitation out there. And so I felt like, well, I'm just garbage at this point. The Lord only wants perfect people. And that was my misconception of that. Jesus, because he's perfect, only wants perfect people, and I don't fall into that category. So he doesn't want anything to do with me. But at this church summer camp, I had an encounter. I met with Jesus, and that was changed. I realized he doesn't look at our lives as this messy room that we have to clean up. He just sees us, and he comes into that mess with us. But as you're in relationship with him, you become so excited about what he has in store for you, a better plan that you could never think of, dream of, or imagine. So you want to clean this space up. And so that's just kind of been the journey of, I felt at that moment, the Lord was stamping me for ministry. And I always loved people. So I was so excited that this is something I got to do. It was like, I'm not running from sin. Like sometimes that's our understanding of Christianity. It's trying to not make all these mistakes. It's having this perfect life, behavior modification. But it was realizing in this night, I get to run towards something. And that is the future that he has in store for me. And it has been better than I could ever imagined. So
wow, cool.
Yeah, love doing it.
I want to pause real quick. You guys both mentioned that it was at summer camp that you really had that first encounter, that meet with the Lord. Yeah. Andrew, can you kind of describe to me, because we get to do summer camps here, can you describe to me what that feeling is like, fostering that environment to where the Lord can really come in and meet with those students that might have been in your guys' place?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Man, summer camp is awesome. Like, just the environment, bringing leaders and pastors and kids from different areas of life. There's these, labeled kids, sports kids. There's the more nerdy kids, even though I'm a little bit of a nerd myself, I love me a little bit of Marvel and DC and Star Wars.
We don't want people to know all that
stuff. Anyways, I'm a little bit myself, but all situations of life, just coming together, being in a room together, worshiping together, and hearing a message, is just so powerful, because when we get into that room, it just becomes all about Jesus. We all have one thing in common: is Jesus. Jesus is Lord, and that we come together, and it's just like, wow, like the presence of the Lord is here, and we can just kind of go from there. And I mean, it's just
I love that, man. I love that. April, from a perspective of being a female leader in the ministry area of things, it can be really hard. There's a lot of like false truths that come out of the Bible when it's related to women in ministry. We just recently did a message on this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Go check it out. Really good message.
Phenomenal.
Can you talk to me? You're in a leadership position here at C3. What is it like being a female in a leadership position in ministry?
Honestly, that's a great question. There's so many things that I could speak to. I would first want to say it has been a journey, but it's been a journey of me learning what that looks like. Because unfortunately, I think as females, sometimes we have a lot of emotions, and we aren't very good at controlling those emotions. And if we don't take captive those emotions, then they take captive of us. And I found a lot in the beginning of ministry. First off, I'd like to say I never had any implication or understanding that I couldn't preach, that I couldn't be a leader. I grew up where that was very normalized. Now, as I got going, I did receive different comments, but I don't know why, but that never affected me. It never made me feel like, oh my gosh, they could be right. Like, I don't know my stuff. And I think that was just the Lord protecting me. Like, I just knew I was called, and there's so many stories in the Bible where he speaks to, he doesn't call the qualified. So I'm like, well, perfect. Then this is me aligning greatly then. But I think I have seen a lot of females do it wrong, and I've seen a lot of females do it correctly. And there really is this beautiful partnership that needs to happen between men and women. And so I love that Andrew and I get to work in ministry together as a married couple to demonstrate that, because it's not one being greater than the other. And I am not a huge feminist where I'm like, I want to do all of the things. I'm like, I don't want to be both male and female. But there's this really great, like, where we get to complement one another in the work of doing ministry. And so I think there's this desire for our voices to be heard. And I think as a young female getting started, you have this excitement and you're like, I'm ready to go. And there's a little bit of like pride of like, I know it all. So I think God is such a God of order. And so just to stay in your lane and trust that he is putting all those pieces together. And there's a season just to learn. And a lot of that in my beginning stages was just learning. How can I grow more in my understanding and knowledge of the Bible? Like, when you realize, man, I am responsible for this weighty message. I want to do it right. I want to do it in a way that is biblically sound. And so that's not something to take lightly. And I think there's a lot of times where women, we want to shout to be heard. And something I like to tell people is I never had to beg for a platform. I never had to demand a mic. The Lord has just opened those doors. And sometimes the doors haven't been open. And it would be so easy to be like, oh, it's because I'm female. But that's not it. It's recognizing that sometimes rejection is God's protection or even redirection, and the time wasn't ready. My character wasn't ready, and I want my character to be there before. And so I would just say to any women that are struggling in that regard of thinking that maybe it's not happening because of their gender, while there are situations where we are human and we're broken and people get it wrong, I think the reality is bring that before the Lord and know that he is preparing you, and hiddenness is a part of the process of becoming. And when we skip that step, it's like David was called, but he had to go into a moment of being hidden before he could be king. I mean, he's told, hey, you're going to be king. Here's this great thing. And then actually, let's just put you back to shepherding the sheep and being kind of in this hidden space. So it's part of that development process, which I think a lot of us want to speed past. So all in all, I think it's a wonderful experience because I'm learning and I'm having to remain teachable. But I would also not be honest if I didn't say that there's emotions that come with that and natural like flesh tendencies. But then it's, okay, Lord, let me bring this before you and know, what do you say about me and who do you say that I am?
I love that. Cool. Thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that. I really do appreciate that. Let's switch gears real quick. Let's talk about the gym. We just, so at time of filming, it's Monday. We just did our third service announcement yesterday, and we also announced that the youth are moving into our gym here on campus.
I'm excited,
Andrew, can you just tell us, like, what do you have an idea of what you guys are planning to do? Maybe some tidbits that we could be on the lookout for?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we're definitely going to have food every week.
Amen.
So, I mean, it's
I'll be there.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Some Chipotle maybe, and some pizza and stuff like that. It's going to be awesome.
We'll say really big things right now so that Pastor Adrian is like, it's
we're going to have a 3-course meal.
Yep, 3-course meal, appetizer, all that stuff.
The full thing.
Yeah, full thing. But we'll have food there, of course. We're definitely going to have a really great worship environment. Gabby, our student worship leader, she's doing a phenomenal job with the students and building them up and teaching them how to worship and not just to perform. She's doing a really great job with that. I would just say some other things that we have going in there. We're doing a lot of more group games.
Cool.
For our crews, so our crews can get together and get to know each other more. What I wanted to see happen is I want to see these kids in middle school get into their groups and really talk and get discipleship.
Wow.
That's the big key for, I think, middle schoolers is that they want discipleship. Some of them just don't know it yet, but they do want discipleship. Right. And I'm a big person when it comes to discipleship. And so I'm really excited about that. We're going to introduce some things that is going to help with that discipleship. And so I'm really excited about that.
That's so cool. When we have all these meetings to discuss, do the youth move in here or do we move in there or what do the service times look like? You know them. I got to tell you, past all of the meetings and specifics and organizational details, I am just so excited to see you guys just rock that new space. I think the kids are going to love it. I think you guys always have just this desire to bring the word, to bring Jesus to these students' lives. As we all know, some home lives they're not perfect.
Right.
And they get to come and experience this really, really cool environment for an hour, and it makes the rest of their week.
It's huge.
So I'm just super excited to see you guys just take the floor and make it happen, because I can see like Jesus is just working through both of you in just such a huge way. So I'm super excited to see what that looks like. I can't wait for parents to see what it looks like. I can't wait for the conversations to happen at home of, hey, we learned this. The parent was off at Costco, but the kid was in the gym learning about Jesus. I think that's just so cool. So I'm really excited about that happening. Let's take a beat real quick. I just want to talk about discipleship. You mentioned discipleship. I think there's a lot of kids out there that are looking for discipleship. Can you just, I don't know if there is going to be a student listening to this or whatever that looks like. Can you just talk about what that looks like to prepare yourself for discipleship? If you're looking for discipleship, where do you go? Things like that. Can you speak to that?
I think, first of all, because I was one of those kids in a broken home, and I was born and raised in a broken home.
Yeah.
I kind of take myself and I look and be like, what would I want to see?
Yeah.
As a broken kid in a broken home, like what would have gotten me more interested in youth in the very get-go, right? And so I kind of look at that and I look at my brokenness and where I came from, and I'm using it for God's glory.
Wow.
You know, and I'm really looking at it and I'm like, okay, God, how can I glorify this? How can I help make kids understand that discipleship is an important thing, that it actually helps you and it helps bring growth to your life,
right?
And doesn't tear you down. And so some things that we want to do with discipleship is basically we want our leaders to be trained, ready to go, right? We want them to know, hey, these are how you address these conversations. When kids get off topic, of course, because they talk about Fortnite, all that stuff, right? How do we redirect them back into the question?
Right.
Things like that, right? And so basically, if they hear about Jesus, they're one step closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they're getting closer and closer. And so that's what I kind of want in the discipleship part of the gym. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, let's talk about Wednesday night real quick. So we're in the gym on Sunday morning.
Yep.
We're in the North venue on Wednesday night. And I just want to say for the people watching, the parents watching, get your kid to youth on Wednesday night.
Yes.
It's a really, really poppin' environment. These two just love your children, even if they're annoying. They
not your child.
They take everybody in, and they just love them. They just want to see them grow.
Yep.
So drop them off. We'd love to have them. Wednesday night, we've got some games in the beginning. We've got some worship. We've got some preaching. Can you I want to take a little bit more time to talk about the cruise element on a Wednesday night. I think it's so important to dive into what that looks like. Can you just talk to a student who is not coming to youth group right now, and just kind of give them a brief overview of what they can expect on a Wednesday night and what the cruise kind of look like?
Yeah, definitely. So I say when they first walk in, they're getting welcomed. We have people at the door, and then we have check-in situation. And then if you're new, you get to go to the VIP section, and you get some free ice cream from Baskin Robbins. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And you get to get the experience of being new and fun, cool environment at the VIP section. And then we get to go in, we play games. There's the gym, the gym's open. We got 9 Square. We got a lot of cool activities that are happening. And so we like to hang out until 6:30. And then we like to start our service, which we go into our hosting time. Then we go into our worship time, and then we go into the message. And then after the message, we do one more song. And then after that, we go into the best part, which I think is the small groups, which is cruise.
Right.
And we get to just have community. Kids get to be in their own grade. They get to know kids. They get to maybe see a kid that they never thought was a Christian, but is a Christian. They're the same night, and it's like, whoa, you go to my school. Let's get connected. Let's hang out. Like, those are cool relationships that are built, right? And so it gives that part of the night to build connection, right? The 3 things that we like to see at C3 Youth is this: that we want kids to get connected, we want them to find community, and we want them to find Christ.
Love it.
Those are the 3 things. And so at C3 Youth, that's what we build our foundation on.
Cool. April, we're going to pivot to you here. I want to talk about Cherish. I want to talk about
guy.
I want to talk about, I'll take the check after. But I want to talk about Cherish. I want to talk about what inspired Cherish, where you're at with it now. I know that C3 Youth is different from Cherish, but I think that they're both just super important. And I think it would be a missed opportunity to not talk to you and get your heart take on Cherish. Can you just walk me through the creation of Cherish and then where you guys are at now?
Yeah, so if we kind of circle back to how I stepped into ministry, that was kind of the first things that I felt like the Holy Spirit started to prompt on my heart was this word cherish. And even if you go back to like middle school journals. Like I was constantly writing this word cherish, of not searching, but cherishing, because I was always looking for my worth in outward things. I wanted to look like the girl next to me and never did. And I wasn't getting asked to school dances, wasn't, being reached out to by guys. Like I just felt like I had friends. And so I overcompensated a lot, I would say, I'm going to have like a really funny personality and that's going to draw people in. But we know that those things only go so far. Yeah. And so like I mentioned earlier, there was just a lot of imitations that I fell into, a lot of sin in my life that kept me separated. And at the same time, I think there was this deep cry in my heart, especially since I grew up in the church, for there to be a female leader that would share that they've struggled with these things. Because growing up in the church, a lot of the things I was struggling with was typically only geared towards boys. And so then I was like, wow, I'm really disgusting because I'm struggling with this stuff. So I just wish that there was more conversations within the walls of the church, because I think there's so many young women that feel so much shame, so much judgment, feel like they don't belong, don't even know where to begin to grow in a community like at the church. So there's all these obstacles, and that was something that I felt. And so when I encountered the Lord for the first time and it was real, I started talking with all these girls, because naturally they're coming to me and like, man, you just shared all this stuff. Like, how did you do this?
Can I pause you real quick? You just said shared all that stuff.
Yeah. That's great.
What was that like? What was that moment like when you were in front of people? When I would call it a testimony. That in the making, a testimony in the making. Can you just describe what that was like in front of your peers, sharing that, bearing your soul in a way? Can you take a minute to just describe that?
So full transparency, I don't mind putting it all on the table. I struggled a lot with deep sexual sins. So what we would refer to in today's age as sexting. So inappropriate messages with strangers all over. And this started at middle school age on MySpace. That'll age me a little bit. That was kind of my struggle. And for anyone else, they would have been like, stranger danger, get out. But I was so desperate to hear the words that I was beautiful that it didn't matter where it was coming from. And I say this all the time. The enemy can't create what God's intended for your life. He can only imitate it. And so fast forward to a summer camp experience. Now I've been in this addiction for probably 5 years. It was something I always wanted to get out of. No one knew about it. I was kind of like a strong leader in my youth group, and then in private struggling with so much depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, because I'm disgusting and I'm a fraud and I'm kind of like imposter syndrome all the time. And so, but God met me where I was at. He called me daughter, and he said, I have so much more in store for you. And I just knew he wanted to use my pain as the platform of my life to help bring healing and transformation to those around me. And so I shared in front of my youth group. It's Texas. Youth group was like 150 kids. My parents are his leaders. I don't even know how I got
Your parents are there?
My parents are there. Yeah.
Okay.
Talking about pressure's on. Yeah. So I get up in front of everyone, and it was just the Holy Spirit. But I knew, and I want to emphasize this too, I had a moment at the altar. So basically it just means I had a moment with the Lord, and I knew he was speaking to me, but I knew myself that if I just walked away and I didn't confess, there's power in confessing our sins to one another. That's where we find ultimate healing. And so I knew that was the next step, and I wanted to let it out. And so I got up in front of everyone and I said, for the last 5 years, I've been struggling with sexual sins.
Wow.
And I could literally just feel the change drop. And I thought I was going to be met with judgment of all my peers. My parents are going to be devastated. My youth pastors are like, you're off the leadership team, you know. And instead, I was embraced. And I watched student after student share very similar struggles.
Wow.
So now it was like, the enemy's been lying to me. Like, I thought I was the only one. Like, we're all dirty. We're all a mess up in here. And so now there was this frustration, this passion, because we didn't have, in my opinion, enough conversations after that moment about what happened that night. And I've been a youth pastor. Now I'm in youth ministry again. There's so many conversations to have. So I do not blame my youth pastor, my church by any means, but I realized the Lord was calling me, because typically the things that frustrate you the most is aligned with the passion and purpose that God's planted inside of you. And so I wanted to start a ministry, because I went to Snoqualmie, Washington. I was a youth pastor there for 5 years. I'm meeting with all these incredible girls in an unchurched area. So they're asking all the questions of like, why aren't you living with Andrew? Why aren't you guys having sex together? You know, like, you're happy. Like, let's just be real. Those were the conversations. And I realized the Bible's not going to be the answer for them right now. They need just a relationship built. They need to know like the practicals. Like God actually has wisdom. There's wisdom in the Bible. And so we started having these real conversations and I was like, I want to do this more. Like this is awesome. So part of that was matching up with Andrew when we did, but I stepped out of youth ministry and launched Cherish Ministry. We're official 501c3 nonprofit. And the whole desire behind it is I just want to create space for girls to come and to have real, transparent, vulnerable moments where they're met with a community of, we are not a cool girls club. We're not selective for you have to look a certain way, talk a certain way. I want it to be a blended group of women just to find, man, I have value. I have worth. It doesn't matter where I've been, what I've done. I'm important. And so getting to be in youth ministry, parallel with Cherish Ministry, it's awesome because this is where I get to connect with those girls and show them the truth of it's okay that you don't understand it. It's okay that you don't get it. But now I get to be the leader to these girls that I desperately desire to have. Like we put it all out on the table. I love the questions because that's where you begin the journey of discipleship and growing and developing. So we do that in a lot of ways. We've done conferences. We have events. We have blogs and podcasts that we post on our social media. But yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Yeah.
I know that April wouldn't do this, but she does have a Cherish conference coming up in May.
Yeah,
Is
May
that my
30th.
understanding?
Yeah.
It'll be hosted here. You won't hear about it for a little bit because we don't start promo for that for a little bit. But we're excited about it as a C3 family, just cheering on April. C3 and Cherish are not affiliated, but we just love to support each other. We love what April is doing. So be on the lookout for more information there.
Thanks.
Hey, I just want to I've got one more question and then we get to some funny stuff.
Funny.
Yeah. I prepared a bunch of questions and I actually have not asked a single one that I prepared.
I love that.
Wow.
So I'm just that good, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's one way of putting it.
But anyway, hey, I just want to take a second. There's a lot of people that want to get into ministry. And some people don't belong in ministry. Some people are not ready for ministry. Some people have too much hurt and problems to be in ministry. It's such a heavy toll and responsibility. It takes a lot out of somebody. But I believe firmly that there are people that could be watching this right now that want to get into ministry. They just don't know how, and they don't know if it's possible for them. Could both of you, Andrew, we'll start with you, and then April, we'll go to you. Could you just speak to that person and kind of give them some insight to what they could do to get into ministry? What are some steps and what ministry might be like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, when I first was looking to be in ministry, I thought you had to be perfect. Like I thought you had to be the perfect person. You couldn't do anything wrong. All that stuff, right? That was lies from the enemy. And so basically when I found out that, man, like you don't have to be perfect, you know, but you have to know Jesus. You have to love Jesus. You have to be a servant for Jesus. We all fall short of the glory of God, right? But as long as we're working to be better than we were yesterday, we're on the right track. And so basically with that, that kind of step of, hey, I have to be perfect to be in ministry. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to say yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, God isn't looking for perfect people. He's looking for yes people.
Yeah.
And so basically, for me, I said yes. And then from that point, you know, I had to figure out, okay, what do I do then? How like I got called at summer camp. What do I do? So I go to college, I do that, go through that step. But can I just tell you real quick, to be an excellent leader, you have to be a good follower first.
Oh, wow. Yep. I like that.
You have to be a good follower first. And so for me, I had to learn that, man, I'm not going to be a leader right off the bat. I need to be a good follower. I need to be a good follower of Jesus. And then from there, God's going to make me into an amazing leader. Yeah. Wow. And so for me, I have that follower mentality. So,
you know, I want to pause. You said, first of all, that was great, but there's one thing that I want to pull out. You said you just have to give him your yes. And I think that I was watching a talk, and I think it was Louis Giglio, and it was a passion conference, and he had his hands out like this, and he said, guys, a lot of you just need to put your yes in your hands and just give it over.
Yeah.
Even though you don't know what you're saying yes to. It could be you need to go to India and be a missionary.
Right.
It's a predetermined yes. It's not a if. It's not a, well, if I feel like it. Well, if I still am on fire for the Lord in a year. It's, Lord, I'm going to give you my life. What I do is for you.
Yeah.
And I want it to reflect back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to preemptively give you my yes for whatever it is that you're calling me to do. So, yeah, I thought that was a great great point. I love that you said before you can be a leader, you have to be a good follower.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
Thank you.
And I think too, just to add on, that's like the starting point. Like that's that foundational piece, because I think Andrew and I both could testify when we felt that call to ministry, and really we're all called, but if we're talking to those specifics in church, missions, nonprofit, whatever it is, it's like when we felt that nudge, where we're at today isn't what we thought.
Right.
And so even for me, it's like, okay, I felt this nudge of, I'm going to start this ministry for girls. That was in, 2011, 2012, when I felt that. And I had no idea the next steps that were going to come. Now we're in 2024 and I've only been a nonprofit since 2019.
Oh, wow.
So you take 2011 to 2019, what was happening is it was the continuing of saying yes, wherever you call me, wherever you send me, whatever you want me to do, and staying in that posture of being open to go and to move. And for me and for you, a little bit different. We both went to college, but I went to college and I'm like, what do I major in?
Yeah,
like, I have no idea. Like, I guess ministry, but like what? Local church pastor or youth and family. People just kind of naturally, I think, put you with youth when you're a young person. And I don't ever look at ministry, especially in a church, of working your way up a ladder. It's not, okay, we're in youth ministry, so then we can be the associate and then we can be a senior pastor. Stones. It's not like that. It's serve God where he calls you. And so youth ministry is kind of where we started, but it's been a blend of so many different things. And I just think that's really, really important of, yes, follow first. You need to be in that posture of being open, and it's going to take you in directions that you never thought possible. And it's also going to make you feel like, am I doing this correct? Like, I think the desire is you have to keep pursuing Jesus, and that's it. Like, if you're trying to pursue a following, if you're trying to pursue a job, if you're trying to pursue a promotion, whatever, seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will come. If he's planted this desire in your life to serve him, then he's going to open up those doors, but it may not look in the way that you thought it was. And again, we're all called to be the ones carrying out the Great Commission. It's not just for those in the church. It's for every single person. So I think just continuing coming forward and saying, hey, here I am, send me.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey guys, thank you for just the candid conversation. I've really, really enjoyed just the topics that we've gone through. And I love both of you guys. We have a really special and close relationship. So I was just excited to have you on. I'm glad we were able to do this. Now we're going to cut to the trivia.
So I'm going to have you close your eyes and I'm going to set some stuff in front of you, and then we're going to do trivia. Okay?
Are we gonna have to like guess what it is?
Okay, open your eyes.
No.
I can't do this, guys.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, true or false? Metallica has had 3 different bass players.
You know the part where you have to answer like as fast as you can.
He is praying right now. Praying for truth.
True.
False.
Like,
so please eat that.
Be careful, it's gonna leak on your shirt.
Just like a teeny bit. Okay, true or false? Venus is the only planet to rotate clockwise.
Oh my God.
True.
True. Okay, Andrew. Only female turkeys gobble. True or false?
False.
It is false.
Get closer to the mic.
Prince has played 27 different instruments on his debut album.
True.
True.
Slay.
Dolphins are unable to smell. True or false?
False.
It's true. Eat some.
Look up, baby.
Can you slide the spoon over here?
Yeah, we're good. We're good, dude. I got enough, dude. I promise you.
Okay. The original Mario Kart game was released in 1992. True or false?
True.
True. Starfish don't have brains. True or false?
It's you, Andrew.
False.
It's true.
Look up. His lips are quivering.
There you go.
Okay, the typewriter was invented in Sweden. True or false?
False.
It is false.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Okay, jousting is the official sport of Maryland. True or false?
True.
It is true.
Total guess.
Okay, the sticker on a piece of fruit is designed to be edible. True or false?
True.
True.
Dude. Just-
Okay, the average raindrop weighs less than an eyelash. True or false?
True.
True. Disco means dance in Latin. True or false?
True.
False.
About time! The Lord answers.
What did you do? Just you stuck your tongue out?
No, I took a little bit. No,
I did.
No, you did not.
I feel it on my tongue.
Okay, Canada is the third largest country in the world by landmass. True or false?
True.
It's false. It's the second largest.
At least you don't have yours going down your throat.
Children have more taste buds than adults. True or false?
True.
True. Tug of war was an Olympic event from 1900s to the 1920s. True or false?
False.
It was true.
oh my gosh.
You can keep your water on the table.
You didn't get any.
Okay, a jiffy is an actual unit of time. True or false?
True.
True. Penguins have teeth. True or false?
False.
False.
Yes.
Kangaroos cannot walk backwards. True or false?
True.
True. Fireworks were invented in Brazil. True or false?
False.
False. A group of porcupines is called a prickle. True or false?
True.
True. Good job. It's done.
Oh, praise God. It's just burning my lips. That's spicy.
Well, hey, thanks you two for coming on. I'm glad you could be here.
Wish we could say the same.
Yeah, I'll see you guys around.
Did you guys do this for every single person that's come
You're
on
the
here?
first one.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great addition, dude.
What?
I like this. I like this a lot.
I think you have to take a...
What?
Yeah, I feel like Ethan needs to be a part of this too.
I
No,
think...
that
no.
one's a weird spoon.
For a blooper, you need to do it. Just lick it.
You should ask him questions.
No.
Just lick it.
This?
Dare you.
No.
Hey,
I'm
you
not
know what?
doing
You
that.
should have did this
Okay,
with us, dude. We
truth
should-
or dare?
Yes.
Truth or dare?
No.
Dare.
No.
Lick the spoon.
No, I'm not
Lick
doing
the
that.
spoon.
I'm not doing. Thanks everybody for watching.
No.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That was so much.
Yeah, you never should have did that.
You're going to be like sitting on the toilet.
Oh my gosh.
He's going to throw up.
Oh my gosh.